It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we're going to be reviewing a beer from one of my favourite London breweries. This is Anspach Hobday, and it's their Imperial Coffee and Cocoa Stout, coming in at 11.5% ABV. There's a look at the can. Looks really good. 11.5% ABV, 440 milliliter can. Without further ado, let's get this beer out into a glass and see what we get. I like the fact that it's all kind of like smashed in as well. For some reason the can is all like bashed and smashed, and it survived the journey, this can. So Anspach Hobday, they grab hold of a style like a goza or a lager or a traditional bitter or an imperial stout, and they generally work wonders with it. I've not tried this yet. This is the first time I'm getting into this beer, but if you were to call a can of beer an Imperial Coffee and Cocoa Stout, you would just go with black label with gold symbols and writing and pictures, and it just works. The branding is on cue. It just works. It makes you want to grab the can from the shelf and buy it. That traditional Italian on the stove coffee jug, and the chocolate and the cocoa, and it's just, yeah, I'll have some of that, thank you very much. This is an independent beer review. The guys at Anspach Hobday were kind enough to send me the beer, but of course we are independent. If it is, I mean, I've built this beer up a bit now, but if it is terrible, I'll tell you. If it's great, I'll also tell you. Good levels of carbonation. Lovely, lovely, lovely looking beer. Jet black beer in the glass. Hazy, well, great carbonation. Let's get the aroma. Yes, interesting. Interesting. You get the bitterness from the coffee. Or that could be the bitterness from the roasted malts, or the bitterness from the cocoa, or the bitterness from the hops. But there's a definite sense of bitterness in there, which of course an Imperial Stout should have. There's also cocoa and chocolate and coffee and roasted malt and a bit of whiskey. Am I imagining things here? But almost like a slightly kind of whiskey spirited aroma coming through. Let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. Oh. Roasty toasty. Roasty toasty. Carbonation pushes the beer on the inside of the mouth. It's got a lovely creamy rich mouthfeel. You definitely get the coffee. You definitely get the cocoa. I'm glad it's not a synthetic chocolate. I'm glad it's a more of a cocoa, so more of, like, if you like, cacao bean rather than synthetic chocolate. That would be the tempting thing to do, which would have been the wrong approach. They've gone with the traditional cacao bean, which is, yeah, the chocolate in its raw form. But what that adds to the beer is chocolate flavours, natural chocolate flavours, but with that lovely bitterness that comes with it, and that lovely bitterness that comes with the coffee bean. It's a lovely beer. It's a lovely beer. I mean, if I get this beer out before Brew London, I'm going down to Brew London this year, sometime at the end of July, and I'm going to make a beeline. I'm going to make a beeline for Anspach and Hobday. If I see them there, if they have a stand there, a stall, and they've got their beer on display, I'm going to go and shake the hands of everybody there and tell them a bloody good job done that they've done with their beers. It really is great. It really is great stuff. Touch of vanilla, lovely mouthfeel, lovely carbonation, a little bit of bitterness on the back end. In fact, a nice amount of bitterness on the back end, but not losing sense of the balance of the beer as well. So there's a little bit of that sweet malt to begin with as well. It's really good. It's really good. Have I read the label? Our last and biggest release of 2020, the Imperial Coffee and Cocoa Stout, is a bold marriage of some of life's greatest pleasures: coffee, chocolate and beer. Coffee, chocolate and beer. Woohoo! So I just want to stop there for 1 second. They mentioned in 2020. Yeah, this was sent to me at the very end of 2020. In fact, December of 2020. So I'll be releasing this either... well, it's mid-June now. I'll either be releasing this at the end of June or very early July. So I'm drinking this within 6 months of it being sent to me. It's an Imperial Stout. I could drink this in 5 years' time and still get the same flavours. So there's no problem with any aging of the beer. So let's move on. Ethiopian coffee brings a gentle roast along with smooth chocolate and subtle fruit aromas. Special huskless roasted malts in the mash keep the overall roasted levels in check, whilst cacao nibs add a silky texture along with more chocolate notes. A rich, warming and rewarding stout, perfect for bringing the year to a close. Drink fresh or age indefinitely. Oh, I'm glad they said that. It said drink fresh, and I was like, And then they put or age indefinitely. We just reviewed an Imperial Stout from Sweden, which has exactly the same message. Drink it now or save it forever. And they didn't put age indefinitely. They just put a date of 2196 on their label. Which means that this beer, let's get it to focus now. This beer will go off like in 200 years' time. Rating for the Anspach and Hobday Imperial Coffee and Chocolate Stout. I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant. Along with their bitter and their goza and their lager. And everything else Anspach and Hobday do. I've not had a bad beer from those guys. They are really kicking it out of the park at the moment. Again, one of my favourite London breweries. Rating. It's just wonderful. From the lacing to the look of the beer. From the carbonation chasing that head up the glass. This brewery just seems to know what to do. They get challenged to brew a style, probably from within. You know, they're challenging themselves to brew a style, and they go ahead and do it. And they don't make a half-hearted effort just to go, that's a bitter, that's a lager, we'll throw that out there. Honestly, if you've not had their bitter, try it. It's one of the best bitters you will ever try in your life. It harks back to best bitters from when the style was in its glory days, from when it was a really good pint of beer. But I like this Imperial coffee, chocolate stout, enough to give it a Stone the Crows 9 out of 10. So 9 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box, subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews, give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom! Cheers!